First of all, to kick off Week 5 of the NFL season, we had a great game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. I think NFC South games are always fun because those teams seem to really a lot of times be on par with each other. Like I think both the Falcons and the Bucs have real good playoff chances this year. Not just playoff chances, but chances to go deep in the playoffs. And so in other times, it might be no team has a winning record. So they're just always on par with each other for the most part. And obviously there's a divide between these two teams and say the Panthers. But in general, NFC South games are really fun. And overall, the NFL has been really fun to start off the year. But as for Thursday Night Football, not really so much. In the past couple weeks, and even before this in previous years, there's kind of a criticism that, the prime games are not what they should be. And there's an argument to be made that, you're going to have bad teams on primetime games sometime because it wouldn't be fair to, Philadelphia or the Chiefs or someone else to always be playing, the Thursday night games and then the Monday night games. All the big market teams taking up all that, that's going to be negative. That's going to be bad for their team in terms of having to play primetime games every single week and just not being able to be on a schedule because really your body has to be on a rhythm, especially in a game as physical as football, to kind of be in the right mindset and perform well each and every week and prevent injuries. So I understand, why the primetime games aren't always the best, but especially on Amazon Prime Video, it seems like we hadn't always had the best matchups. Last week was Cowboys versus Giants, and the Cowboys can be good, but the Giants aren't going anywhere, so that one's kind of a predictable matchup just in recent memory. And during that game, they advertised the next week's, and I looked at it and I said, hey, that's going to be a pretty good game between the Buccaneers and Falcons, and it absolutely was. Not only did we get 4 quarters of exciting football, we got an extra one. We got an overtime period, and the Falcons win in overtime 36-30. So a high-scoring game. Maybe the defensive-minded individuals watching the game weren't huge fans, but in general, I think it was a very exciting game and really a showing of what both these teams are capable of. There's a lot of talent on these rosters. The Falcons, they brought in Kirk Cousins expecting him to use his weapons, and he did this game. Drake London went off. Kyle Pitts had a solid game. Darnell Mooney was really, really good for them. And Bijan didn't have the best game, but they aligned the stars for the most part. The Falcons did. And for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield is having a great season. And, speaking of Kirk Cousins, he just had 500 yards. He broke Matt Ryan's record for Falcons passing yards in a game. But then on the Bucs end, Baker Mayfield's reviving his career in Tampa, and it's great to see. And, they've got one of the best wide receiver duos in the league and one of the most consistent wide receivers that we've ever seen in Mike Evans and his running mate, Chris Godwin. Plus, Bucky Irving has shown flashes. Rachaad had a pretty solid game. He had a really good run at one point, and he has potential as a good receiving back. He just hasn't been able to work it all out. And the coaches too, in general, the Falcons have a new head coach, and the Bucs, Todd Bowles, was kind of being criticized for his conservative play style. You can still make arguments for that, but the coaches have something to prove. So all around, this was a very fun and interesting game of Thursday Night Football. If you enjoyed this video, it would be great if you could find it in you to subscribe, maybe check out the full podcast on Spotify, follow us on there, follow us on Instagram. I know realistically this podcast isn't going to go anywhere ultimately, whether it's via the segments on YouTube or the entire podcast itself, but I want to get into the sports broadcasting business. I want to be able to promote thought-provoking discussions about the NBA, and I would love to do it via State of the Association. Thank you if you made it all the way through.